Hey friends, this is way off from my usual content, but I saw something recently that I literally can't stop laughing about. Thinking about it kind of unlocked a core funny memory, so I gotta share it with y'all. So I'm a huge South Park fan. As a millennial, I was around when it came out, whenever everybody first started wearing the Cartman t-shirts. They got banned from a bunch of schools and all of that. Big Matt and Trey fan. Actually, my husband and I are going to see Book of Mormon in October. Recently, Tim Dillon's interview with the CNN reporter went viral. I'm not the biggest Tim Dillon fan. I'm actually not a Tim Dillon fan at all. Every time I try to watch a full one of his podcasts or anything, I find myself just sitting there thinking, wow, why did you choose to make those words with your mouth? I don't find all of this stuff funny, most of it not, but every now and then it goes viral for something and I'm like, oh yeah, that is pretty funny, or that's a cool take, whatever. That recently happened whenever I saw this interview with this CNN reporter. She had a really unfortunate habit of talking to him with her eyes closed. When she would ask him questions, she'd be like, yeah, but what about the galaxy? What about the cultural energy? I'm not sure if I even did it right there. Like, oh my God, let me show y'all what I'm talking about. And then let me show you the memory it unlocked and see if anyone else remembers this and wants to laugh with me. Okay, let's take a look at some of the highlights, y'all.
Good. Okay, great. Do you want to talk about your special?
Sure.
Give me the short version.
It's a comedy special on Netflix, and I think it's the most important thing ever. And it will change the course of human history. And comedians matter.
Yeah.
We thought we were just trying to get over stuff that our family did to us, but it's big news. The course of history will change. There's a lot going on.
I've been researching comedy, essentially, the way comedy is now.
Yes.
He set her up with so many laughs there. Like, he was making fun of himself. He was making fun of the idea that comedy is now important and everything. And instead of laughing at anything, she very seriously said, yeah. And then goes into how she's researched comedy. I feel bad for this lady because I feel like the most reasonable thing for CNN to do would have been to have someone interview him who is a comedy aficionado. And she's clearly not. And it kind of set her up for some problems. Yeah, anyway, let's continue on.
Opinion, because the news got a little dumber and comedians got a little smarter. Tell me what you think about that. Like, why is this happening?
Well, I think that the news has said a variation of the same thing for a very long time. And I think people just tend to get bored because people are just, saying, all kinds of things. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are the most insane things you've ever heard. Some of them have value. Some of them don't. I think it's just a lot more interesting to people, especially people who grew up online or are younger people, seem to gravitate towards that kind of media more than the kind of fake, stilted corporate speak of kind of the traditional legacy media. I think media's just kind of become predictable and boring, and the internet has kind of been an antidote to that.
I've heard comedy podcasts referred to as a friendship simulator. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's any podcast. What she's kind of talking about is a parasocial relationship. I think I have more of a parasocial relationship with y'all than you do with me. I get to wondering about my regular commenters. If you don't show up for a while, I'm like, what are they up to? I don't know. There's something kind of disingenuous about how she acts like comedy is so mysterious and important. But the whole point, the funny point, is the closing of the eyes.
So I'm sure you're aware of the, where's the liberal Joe Rogan, that whole conversation.
Yes, that is a question they're asking.
That is a question they're asking. So I was interested in that. I did a lot of research, but I think that's maybe not the most interesting question.
Okay, so the thing about Joe Rogan is so funny to me because I am a comedy fan. I love comedy. I love comedians. And Joe Rogan was liberal for a very, very long time. Most of his ideas are still very liberal. He disagreed with a few things, and that has gotten him labeled as conservative, in my opinion. So it's always funny to me, where is the liberal Joe Rogan? It's Joe Rogan. To me, anyway. So interestingly, Matt and Trey suffer from, it's kind of some of the same thing. Are they liberal? Are they conservative? Every time they do an episode that pokes at liberal issues, a lot of conservative commentators don't watch the whole thing and start putting out YouTube videos of, oh my God, look, South Park is so base, own the libs. But then they'll turn around and do the same thing to conservatives, and then the liberal commentators are out there. Thank God for Matt and Trey. I mean, they once apologized to to Al Gore and admitted that climate change is real. Man, bear, pig is real. But yeah, they've suffered from that same kind of pigeonholing and back and forth. And let's go to the commentary that the Eyes Closed interview unlocked.
So the whole idea for this show came about from, at the writer's retreat, we came up with the idea of like, yeah, cars can be bad because they cause smog, but hybrid cars cause smug, and that's way worse. And
they're talking about the episode of Smug. And let me show you a little clip of what they're talking about here so that we're all on the same page. Okay, let's take a look at the episode. This is season 10, episode 2, Smug Alert. And everybody has just gotten hybrids, but they become so smug that the smug cloud becomes worse than the smog and it overtakes California. And not only that, the people get so smug about how good they are that they start farting in glasses and smelling their own farts.
I drive a hybrid. It's much better for the environment. Thanks.
Hey, is that a hybrid?
Oh, yes, you've got one too, I see.
Yeah, I like to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. Well, anyway, good for you.
Thanks. Hey there, Alan, right?
Actually, it's Elaine.
Right. Would you like red or white wine?
Could I just get an empty glass?
Oh, sure.
Can you believe all these imbeciles in Texas?
Okay, now that we've seen the episode that they're talking about, let's go back to them doing their commentary on what inspired it.
yeah, cars can be bad because they cause smog, but hybrid cars cause smug, and that's way worse. And and it really was true because, you know, especially here in LA, it's like, I mean, they really went around, you know, and most people in LA drive hybrid cars and then they go and get private jets to go wherever they need to go and burn.
That's their issue with the people with the hybrids is most of the ones that they were interacting with, as opposed to people like Trey's mom and stuff who just need the actual gas mileage. Most of the people they were interacting with were driving hybrids just to let people know, I drive a hybrid, therefore I'm very good. And in actuality, they were using private jets enough to cause a carbon footprint that most of us could never, ever accumulate in our lifetime, regardless how many SUVs we drove.
More fuel than the average person in an SUV will in a year. But then they drive around in their hybrid going, yeah, I'm doing something for the, and they do talk with their eyes closed.
We were at a dinner with.
Did you hear what he said there? And they do talk with their eyes closed. That's important. That's why this is a core memory.
Some really high, like one of the, like, we don't go to these dinners very often. It's like one of the only dinners we've gone to where it's like really high level Hollywood people, like high level execs, studio heads and stuff at this dinner. Literally everyone at the table, except for us, flew in private jets almost exclusively. Like these people hadn't flown commercial in years. And all of them to a person had a hybrid and were congratulating themselves about like having this hybrid. I'm first on the list to get the new Ford hybrid. That's great. Good for you.
And a woman at the dinner actually said, yeah, well, it's important for us to set an example.
Yeah, because then we started bringing up the private jet thing. Well, isn't that weird that you fly a G5 and then you also have a hybrid? Like, what the fuck is that? And they're like,
I love that Matt and Trey just called him out about that. Like, excuse me, what?
well, it's up to people like us, you know, to set an example for the little people.
And then
they were so fucking smug about it. It was unbelievable. In researching this episode, we found out that part of the reasons why I think it was a Honda hybrid, where the hybrids where they try to make it look like the regular version of the car don't sell as well as like the Prius or something that looks different, in the way that people who have hybrids really want other people to know that it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
So that's why they all have to look different. People don't want, like, well, if I just buy that car, no one's going to know I bought a hybrid and I'm awesome. And so they don't sell as well.
But it also
really interesting.
It also came about because I bought my mom one of those Honda hybrids.
This is the story that led to that scene.
And just because, you know, it's my mom, it doesn't have to pay as much for gas. That makes sense for her. So I bought her a hybrid, and she told me that, and it still happened. She said that the first day she was driving around in that car, people were pulling up next to her and giving her a thumbs up and going, good for you, in their hybrids. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And she's like, no, that's what they do. And so, you know, it's like, yeah, good for you. You know, her son, I bought her that, and I own 2 SUVs, you know, whatever. That it's just doesn't need, but then that's why we put that in this show.
It's like the whole idea of like environmental stuff and hybrids or whatever it is, fair trade coffee and stuff is so much about people feeling good about themselves buying it. It's like, well, now I feel a lot better about buying this thing because this is actually blah, 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 which I guess is all right. I mean, if it does good, but it's just
fine as long as you're not saying it with your eyes closed.
And as long as you're not a fucking dick about it.
Because it really, that's what
the
brought us
eyes
to,
closed thing is when someone says something with their eyes closed and goes, well, I just like to do something good for the earth with their eyes closed, something's fucking wrong.
Yeah. And that basically, they really believe they know what's best and that everyone else is just kind of retarded. And people right now in San Francisco are sitting there listening to this going, but we do, with their eyes closed, saying, no, we don't think we're better. We just think, we lead the way a little bit. And you're saying it with your eyes closed, and fuck you.
And then
So Tim Dillon actually had the best reaction possible that anyone could have to an interview like that. He come on and said that no one should treat her badly or be angry at her because a lot of the, super conservative bro podcasters like, how dare she? Blah, blah, blah. And he would say, no, she just didn't know. She read some articles about podcasts and just didn't know that much about comedy. It's better to talk to people who are extremely different in their thoughts from you just to get to know them. And I really respected what he did there and the way that he handled it. Then he did a little reaction to his own interview. Let's check it out.
Thank you for watching the interview on CNN, which they released, and I am grateful to CNN for their honesty in putting out that entire interview and not editing it. And I want to thank Elle, the interviewer, for pushing for that. I think it was a good conversation that
CNN wanted to edit the interview down to almost nothing, but Tim wanted it released in full, and apparently Elle, the interviewer, also pushed for that, which is awesome, and he's given her flowers or kudos for this.
highlighted a lot of differences between myself and the interviewer in a respectful way. And I think a lot of people are responding to that. A lot of people are saying, wow, you can just have a conversation and not scream and yell and not be contentious and not be angry. I think a lot of what people are missing is that people don't have a shared base of knowledge. So
That's something we talk about in the Gypverse a lot. A lot of us content creators disagree on things, and some of them totally have full-on fights if they disagree on a point of the case. I don't think I need to mention names, but the rest of us, like Toddy Oneskip, myself, Into the Weeds, so many of us have different ideas about things on the case, and it doesn't affect our respect for each other at all. It doesn't affect how we interact with each other, how we talk with each other. Respectful discourse is more needed. I think that it would solve a lot of divide. It might not always generate great solutions, but respectful discourse generates camaraderie, and that is always good for people.
People feel like they're being attacked all the time, but really this woman just didn't know a lot of things. And she had made assumptions based on not having the information.
And some articles she read.
So the way to deal with that is not to go, what the fuck are you talking about, you stupid bit? Like, the way to deal with it is to go, oh yeah, I don't think you realize X or Y or Z. It wasn't to fly off the handle and call her. Like, friends of mine were really angry at her. I had friends of mine text me, how the fuck did she this? Guys, she doesn't know. She read a few articles about podcasts and then did this interview. She's not a student of comedy. She's not a scholar of comedy. She doesn't understand. And if I can correct her in a nice way, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And I think she probably left that interview going, okay, because her premise is that comedy is owned by Joe Rogan, and podcasts that are the ones that Trump went on and Vance are the only podcasts that exist or are the biggest. And that's simply not true. Comedy has people from all stripes.
Yeah, so it turned out to have a pretty good ending, I think. The reporter got her interview out there in full. It's gone viral. Tim Dillon got to, put across his point of view once he realized that she wasn't going to joke around with him. He stopped saying crazy stuff, trying to make her laugh. And in the end, he also got to show a bit of his humanity whenever people came at her and said, hey, y'all, it's not a big deal. She just didn't know about a lot of comedy sphere. She read some articles and thought that Joe Rogan is the king of comedy. And he's obviously huge. But there are tons of liberal comedians doing very, very well. Just like you said, I follow a ton of them myself. I'm pretty liberal. But I wonder what y'all think of this. If any of you noticed the South Park similarities whenever the interview went viral, and what your take on it is. Let me know in the comments. Have a good day.
Actually, it's Elaine. Leave all these imbeciles in Texas.